In this quick video tutorial, I'll show you how to SSH into a Sage Mathcloud project. So I assume you have created a project and you've logged into that project, so it's running. When you log in, you might see the Files page. So at this point, go to Settings, and down to the right here under Project Control, you should see a button that says SSH into your project. Alright, so this is the SSH host and username. So you cannot, everyone for the project logs in as the same user, which is this string, which is your project ID, and then the computer name will depend on whether or not you have added an upgrade. So your project is hosted or not. If it's running on a free server, the numbers will be different here. So the first thing you need to do is to create some keys if you have not already done so on your computer, and this link here takes you to a page that explains how to create SSH keys. That depends on your operating system. I'm using Mac OS X, OS X, and so I can run a terminal, and in the terminal I would type SSH keygen. This would ask me if I want to type a key, where I want to save it. It will go into my home directory, into the .ssh ID RSA. This is an RSA key. There are options to SSH keygen that will allow you to generate different keys, a DSA for example. And then you have to enter the password, etc. I've already done that, so that key exists. So if I go into that directory, my home directory .tilde.ssh, I can see that I have an ID RSA key and a public key. This ID is the one that I use mostly. Alright, once you have the key generated, then you need to copy that key and insert it into the .ssh authorized keys file on Sage Mathcloud. So I go over here and I copy that. This is a trick from Macintosh. You can issue the pb copy command and it will copy the contents of that file. Otherwise you'll have to open it, cut and paste, etc. Open on the authorized keys file and paste it in here. I'd already done this, so there the keys are the same. Make sure you remove any line breaks if they have appeared because of your editor. This should all be on a single line. This is all one line. Alright, when that's done, save it. Go back to Settings. And now you should be able to test it by directly SSHing into here. You will need to make sure that you authenticate to the key on your computer first. So this is called passwordless login. And there are many ways of doing that. Look at the help documentation. You may have to look at the documentation for your operating system. My Macintosh already does it when I log into my computer, and so I don't need to do this now. If I wanted to do it manually, for example, one thing you could do is you could run bash with SSH agent, and then you can SSH add the key. You have to enter your password for the key. And once you've done that, then you can SSH over to the computer. I'm not going to do that because I'm already authenticated. So now, once you have entered your key and authenticated to that key, you should be able to SSH directly to the Sage Mathcloud server. Here I am logged in, and now I can see the projects that are there, and I have complete shell access to that terminal. Now, the one other thing I do is I add a configuration so that I can type this as a shortcut. And so let me edit in my tilde.ssh config file. At the bottom I have a section where I have a bunch of Sage Mathcloud accounts. And so I do two things. I first create an overall host, which is SMC star. This forwards my agent, so once I've logged into Sage Mathcloud, I can SSH and do a bunch of other things. And then the second thing, I send an environmental variable name, which I use for version control. However, we'll discuss that at a later date. That'll apply to all SMC accounts, and then I simply add the alias for the one that I need, which is the 512 course, so host SMC 512. And here I have to put this using the compute 7, that was listed over here. Compute 3 was what I had before when it was a free server. And the username looks to be the same, so that should be fine. Save that file. Now I can go SSH SMC 521. That works. And then you can do this for other projects too. Okay, that's all you need to do to SSH into your server. on Sage Mathcloud. One thing to note is if the project is not running, then you will not be able to SSH in. Okay, so if you get this message, you'll have to go to the web interface, make sure the project is actually running. Once it's running, then you can SSH in. And as you can see, it boots up pretty quickly. All right, that's it.